Hey guys, welcome to Creating Success in the Mess. We wanted to share a fun and inspirational weekly episode to bring some joy and motivation to your week. We hope you enjoy our Fortune Cookie Friday mini episodes and can find something meaningful along the way.
And welcome to Fortune Cookie Friday. So, we are going to take a fortune cookie, we're going to break it open, and we're going to see what the fortune says, and we're going to interpret it. But this one will be a little bit different because this fortune cookie that we have is already crumbled and smashed. So, it's not going to be like a surprise as in Whitney isn't going to beat me again.
Yeah, because I do have a long reputation of winning these cookie breaking sessions.
Yeah, it's kind of like the wishbone, you break it, but we do it with the fortune cookie, and she always wins. This week it's a bye week, so no one wins, no one loses, we stay neutral.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
All right, so but we do have a fortune.
Yeah, we're going to go straight in with the fortune and leave all the crumbly mess where it is. All right, so our fortune this week is have faith in your ability to figure all things out.
I think this is motivational.
Yeah.
Kind of like, hey, you do it. Have faith.
Right. I think it's like so, in whether it's business or in life or just anything, like I think it applies to everything. It's one of those, you could have this as your bumper sticker, I guess. Every day something happens in life or in business or at your job or whatever, and you have to figure it out. You don't always necessarily know what's coming.
I guess if you want to look at it as like things that come your way, figure it out. Mm-hmm. Okay. But I do get kind of stuck up on that word, all things. I'm like, all things? Like, really?
Yeah,
You can figure all things? Are you even supposed to figure out all things?
Yeah, you figure it out. You figure out that you can't figure it out, or you figure out that you figured it out.
I figured out I need to hire someone because I can't.
Right. We do like a lot of, we see a lot of stuff in business, and we've experienced a lot of different things in business. And one thing like that comes to my mind is like a lot of times in business, we go into our business, right? You can have the best laid out business plan, and then that's your playbook, right? Like you were watching football earlier, so like this is what comes to my mind. When those football players come to a game, they have a playbook. Mm-hmm. They have like a general idea of their playbook.
There's a plan.
They got a plan. Now, when they get into the football game, they pull the playbook out. They pull the plan out, and they try to execute their plan. But does that always go the way that they planned?
Probably never, actually.
Right. Absolutely. And so when they pull this playbook out and they try to go off of their plan in the middle of this game, then something happens or something unexpected arises or it wasn't in their plan. Mm-hmm. And so then what do? Did they say, okay, guys, everybody back, pack up, like we're going home?
Nope. It's called adjustments.
Yes. Right. They adjust and they modify and they figure it out on the fly. That's what they do. I've never once watched a football game and they were like, well, shoot, our plan didn't work out, and so we're gonna have to just go on home now. We're just gonna call this one done. Pack her up. Let's go. Head out. I've never seen a football game go like that.
Even when they're losing at the end of the game really bad and there's actually no hope, you can still tell they're kind of like, all right, we're going to work on some stuff for next week.
Right. And, they have, what do they call it? A playbook, right? They have plays. Like, people call plays. And then people, like, predict and determine. And they try to figure out what's coming. And they try to, like...
They have systems that are built upon, like, certain skill sets of players. And then they have plays that work with the system.
Right. And so whenever something comes up, then they're like, okay, let's go back to the books, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know how many times I've seen them over on the bleachers just sitting there looking at this thing like they're this like leisurely having, a rest. But in reality, what they're doing is making a new game plan for their next strategy. They're figuring it out, right?
Right.
And that's what we go into business thinking that we have this plan, this idea of how it's going to go and what's going to happen. And I hate to break it to you, but 99.9% of the time, it doesn't go like that. It doesn't go like your best laid plan. your best made plan, whatever that saying is. That doesn't happen. I've never once heard somebody say, well, before I got into my business, I made this whole business structure and this whole mission and goals and purpose and this plan. And when I got into it, it worked perfectly. Nothing new came up.
I mean, parenting doesn't work that way either.
No. Nothing works that way.
Yeah, I never met a parent that was like, I'm going to tell you what, man. The kid came out and was picture perfect. Exactly how I thought.
Right.
I didn't have to pivot or anything.
Right.
Now here he is, 21 years old, and things are exactly how I envisioned them.
No, I mean, come on. How many of us were like, oh, I would never let my kid chew on my keys. And then your kid comes out, or your second kid, or by the time you get to your third kid, you're just like, here, chew on the keys.
Yeah, I mean, it's good iron. If you got to get the Flintstones vitamins, just skip those out and just chew on keys.
Right. So what happened was when you became a parent, you started figuring it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. You had a plan.
Well, to a degree, you relax. You're like, relax. That's not as important as I thought it was going to be.
Right.
And then you're like, choose my battles.
Right. Yeah. But you were figuring it out. You were figuring out how to navigate this newfound territory that you thought that you understood prior to going into it.
Yeah.
Like, I think this is right on. And I think, like, this is the key that determines your success in the mess of whatever it is. Because when it doesn't go to your, plan, it looks like a mess. And so your success is going to be determined on when it gets messy. And it's going to get messy because it's not going to go perfect. Are you going to work on using your talents and your skills and your everything that God gave you to figure it out and make it work to its best potential?
Well, it says faith, and faith is not in yourself. Faith is in God. So it's kind of like relax. You don't have to figure it all out.
Well, you could have faith in yourself. You could have faith in yourself. You could have faith in God. Like, you could have faith that it's going to work out, and like the way that it's gonna work out, it's gonna work out. Like, you can have faith in a lot of things.
Yeah, but I think it's the confidence factor, knowing that you're not doing it alone, that it's gonna be figure-outable. You can figure it out by your work and by your belief and also grace. Like, it's a team.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
Whatever, you disagree with me.
No, I mean, I agree. I think that is an option, but I think that, like, you can't just have faith in something or someone else and not have faith that you have what it takes in you, because that's a lot of times when then action doesn't happen.
Right.
You're just waiting for someone else to take care of it, someone else to show up.
You can't just sit back and do nothing.
No,
you have to try things.
Right. And at that point is when you're having faith in your actions that you're taking.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just going to sit around and wait on the Lord to give you an answer.
You ever watch that movie? It's like 90s when we were kids. Like, it was called Angels in the Outfield.
Yeah.
And like the Angels came in and like were winning the games for him.
Right.
But they had to show up to the game.
Right.
They had to put a uniform on.
Yeah.
They had to walk out in the field. They had to set up in their positions. A coach had to be there making calls.
Mm-hmm.
So even though they had the Angels in the outfield,
right,
had they just said, "Oh, well, I can just rest and sit at home because they got this." No.
No.
You still got to show up. You got to lace your cleats up.
Now let's just say that they said, "Well, this ain't going to plan, so I guess I'll just stay at home." Well, then they weren't ever going to win. Like, if they had just stayed at home, they would have never got to the ballpark to win.
Right. They lacked the faith.
Right.
But when they're like, "Oh, no, they got this. I can just sit back and do nothing." Well, that's over faith. That's faith with no works.
That's right.
You got to have both.
Yeah, you got to have faith in yourself. You got to have faith that you can figure it out. And, like, no matter what it is, there's always going to be something that comes up and something that is different than the plan that you thought you had.
Yeah.
It's literally in your reaction to that is what is going to determine your success or your failure. If the football team packs up and they leave, well, then they're forfeiting. They're losing. Like, they're stopping the game. That's it. It's done. There's no W there, right?
Right.
they sit over on the bleachers reading this, like, magazine, like they're having a leisure, whatever. Really, it's clearly, like, figuring out the next best play.
Right.
Then
or how to adjust to stop whatever they're doing that is working.
Right. And then they go back out and they put it into action and they give it a try. And then what happens? How many times do you do that? And then you find success. But if they never showed back up to the field, if they never went back up and adjusted their playbook, then there's never going to be success.
Right.
So, yeah, I think you have to have the faith that you can figure it out, because it's all figure outable if you're determined to figure it out.
Right.
It's just when you decide not to figure it out anymore is when it's not figure outable.
I want to be honest. The first time, like, I read it, and I was like, I kind of got thrown off on, like, the all things.
Yeah,
like, all things. But I took it very personal, as in, like, I have to figure out how to do all these things. And it's kind of like, no, if you can't do it, you need to know people.
Yeah.
You know?
That's a way of figuring it out.
It's a way of figuring it out.
Right.
It's like, I can't do this, but I know somebody who can.
Right. That's what I always say, like, sometimes, like, we get all stuck on, like, the I can't. And if you just kind of change that, like, I can't figure out how to build a website. And then, you have a choice to just leave it there and to throw your hands up and be done and, like, actually never get a website. Or you can change it and say, I can't figure out how to build a website, or I don't have time to build a website. I can't build a website right now. But the but comes in. What I can do is learn on YouTube how. Reach out and ask for help. Hire somebody that can just handle it for me. It's when the but comes in that is when you're figuring it out.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of times, too, is we say we can't because we automatically think we can't make it look like an A+ level.
Right.
Rather than being like, I will make this look average.
Right. Yeah, and that's figuring it out.
That's figuring it out.
That's figuring it out.
Because honestly, in most times, like with websites, a published website is better than trying to fancy up the website for another couple more weeks before you publish it.
Right.
Just publish it.
Right.
Like 1,000 people aren't going to jump on your site the minute you publish it. You're going to be just fine.
Or like, one of my kids needs math help. Like, okay, like my son is into computer coding right now.
I thought we were talking about our daughter who says, I can't add. Like
this computer coding thing, he's like, I can't do this. I can't figure this out. And I'm like, I can't figure this out. We didn't even have this when I was in school. I don't even know what this is. But we do have Google. And so let's look it up. Let's watch a video. Let's figure it out. And then that's how we do it. So, yeah, I think totally the but.
Yeah, back in the day, they'd have been like, what? When you go to the card catalog down at the library?
I guess. I have no idea. I didn't know what computer coding was until my son started doing it. And, like, I get it to a certain degree.
Your son's doing coding?
Our son?
Our son
is doing coding, but he always comes to me for whatever reason for the help. And at first, it was simple. Like, I followed right along with him. And then he was kind of doing some of it on his own. And so then I started missing, like, lessons. And now he's to this part where it's like, until, except, and on the, and if, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah.
I'm still stuck on why he goes to you instead of me.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
I'm the one over here building the website.
Yeah.
And he just goes to you.
Yeah.
I know why.
Why?
Because I look at it, I'm like, yeah, bro, that looks hard.
Yeah, you're like, I can't do that. I'm too busy.
He's like,
Mom, she'll figure it out.
He's like, I can figure out all things through Mom.
Yeah.
Mom. That's who I will figure all things through. Dad, that guy's average.
Well, if he goes to you, you'll be like, what do you need this for? Like, this just isn't your skill set.
What are you coding for? Drag and drop. That's all you need.
Let me show you how to build a website without that coding stuff. And then he comes to me, and I'm, like, the queen of butt. Like, let's figure it out. And so we, like, figure it out.
Yeah. I'm like, scratch that. We're going to do this. It's a completely new way of looking at things.
Right. Your way of figuring it out is like, well, this isn't suiting me. Let me.
How much is in the account? You think we can find somebody?
yeah, that's you. And then I'm not like that.
But you like working on multiple things. I don't. I'm a
Right.
one-dimensional. Like, I get an idea, I like to work it, and then I'm on to another idea.
That's right. We have figured that out about you.
And if it's not my idea, I ain't going on it. So you take your coding, you get a C in that class.
Yep.
It ain't gonna make or break you.
All right. So I would say that this fortune is really good and really, like, absolutely could be a bumper sticker on your car for sure.
All right, we got to get those lucky numbers.
All right.
Are y'all ready for this?
Yep.
Lucky numbers: 22, 23, 45, the number 5, and that last and final number, 17.
All right.
Well, that's your lucky numbers.
Yep. So make sure you tell us what you think about this podcast episode. Have you ever come across this in your life where you were packed up and went home like the football team, or do you actually show up and get back out there and put the butt on the situation?
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today, and we will see you next week.
Thank you so much for listening. We know that we all get busy trying to do life, and our hope is that we can find ways to implement time and space to create a life we love living every day on our terms, right in the middle of all the messes of life.
We hope that you've been inspired and our conversation has helped you in some way, and it would be so amazing if you share this conversation with somebody that you think would really benefit from hearing it. You can text someone the link, or you can share it via email or on your social media pages. And please, we would love for you to leave us a review on whatever platform you are listening on, because it helps us so much. The more reviews we have, the more people that will find our show, and our ultimate goal is for everyone to feel inspired, to find ways to create their own success right in the middle of all the mess. And no, they are not alone in doing so.
And finally, we'd love for you to join our weekly email list so that we can connect on a deeper level, and you can always be in the know of our new release events and opportunities.